I don't think I.
It's really short, it's really short. Oh, you know what? I also have muted this, so I need to turn it on. I think it's
There we go, sorry.
whoops, that's way too. I'm supposed to get myself in time. So.
So I can't make myself a co-host, Susan? It says I can promote to panelist, but can I make a co-host? No, I think it's panelist first
And
and
then
then,
you could become.
and then I can promote myself, so promote to panelist.
You know, you don't do this stuff, like, I don't do Zoom, I don't set up Zoom meetings every day like I did for some years, that I totally forgot. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm promoted to panelist.
You see, Michael, so it's just the three of you, right?
Yes.
So there are a bunch of people pulled out last minute or something, or?
Well, it's only two more people, and,
No, I mean, a bunch of applicants. The number on the list is actually like, initially there were,
for this board,
I think so.
oh, I don't know how many there are. I don't know.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about today's meeting.
What?
Like
Talking about today's
the
meeting.
items for today.
Oh,
were
yes,
There were some
applicants,
withdrawn.
yes. Well, there weren't that many to start with, and then a few was.
Yeah, it was a lower level or lower number to begin with, and then some dropped out.
But some drop out every month. You
Yeah.
know, it's because they're negotiating releases, and that doesn't happen. And that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
I know I've negotiated leases with
And then the one that I did, hotel, motel, whatever that is, I had done went with the acoustical engineer to do a sound test. And I think that they pulled out because they want to wait till they implement everything.
I wondered, I was gonna ask why, if you heard from them, why.
I spoke to Ellen, I mean, we spoke with Mike, and I spoke to Laura today. So just so you know, the unbearable sound, I was up there, it's not unbearable at all.
Oh, okay,
If you're lying in bed, you hear it, and that's
but that's a problem too.
totally, you should not, you know, absolutely should not, absolutely. But there's no unbearable out of it, it's just spend 5 minutes in my apartment.
I know what you mean. Okay, well, I think all three of us are here, that's all that's coming for us, guess. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the Community Board 3, SLA and DCA Licensing Committee.
Are you start recording?
We are going to, I will give a brief description of how the meeting is going to go. We'll go through each applications. We have a few applications tonight that we're going to take as expedited. Those items we will hear at the beginning of the meeting. We will give a very brief introduction. We will hear from if the applicant has anything new to add or change. We'll do a vote and then we'll move on from those items. We do have a few withdrawals this month. There was number 3, Motel No-Tel withdrew. They, will most likely be back at a later month. Please watch the community board calendar. Sauce Grocer, number 4, has also 47 Second Avenue has also withdrew. Number 8, Thy Team Incorporated, 108 Stanton Street also withdrew. And again, those items may come back at a later time, but for now, they are not here this month. We are going to start with a brief discussion about our administrative approval procedures for our outdoor dining under the new open restaurants program. I'm going to put on the screen a draft that we have put together of what the administrative approval application will look like. Stipulations, not application. Share my screen now on Zoom. Okay. So you'll see on the screen. Bump that up a little bit, make it a little easier for us to read. So I think as we've discussed a little bit before meetings with this new program, there's very little that we actually have say over in terms of the applications when they come in, especially for the roadbed dining. It's all mostly controlled by the city, by the Department of Transportation's procedures.
Well, there's very little we have to say about this city part of
The
this.
city, yes, the city part of their application. So we are planning on a process because there's going to be a lot of them. Anyone who's had outdoor dining up to this point is going to have to come, and they're going to have to possibly come before us, or at least before the city. So some of these things we're looking at as an administrative approval process so that we're not having 20 items just on outdoor restaurants, each committee meeting. So a few of the things that we would say for if they're going to adhere to these stipulations that we're requesting, it would be an administrative approval, just like our current administrator for wine and beer closing at midnight. So the things that we have listed, and we're, any comments or suggestions anyone has, we're welcome to.
So just a procedure question.
Yeah.
Will all of the outdoor dining come to our committee? Or this is just OP or just like typical SLA applicants?
They are. So could I back up just a little
Yes.
bit?
Yeah.
So this is going to be handled in the way that sidewalk cafes have previously been handled. And they were all at the SLA committee. And the reason being is the biggest part of the application is the liquor. So we heard them once and we're planning to use the same procedure. So in the past, the sidewalk cafe application would come to us. The SLA committee would hear the application, make any changes, which would include hours and everything. And then that same stipulation form would be sent to the SLA because it has all the information the SLA also needs. So the biggest issue and the only area where you really have much weight is the liquor license part. So yes, everything will come here because the biggest issue is the liquor license. For instance, the big issue most community members are concerned about is the city allows the sheds to be open until 12. But CB3 and I think most of the other boards say that outdoor have the applicant sign a stipulation that say outdoor use must close at 10, which we already have on almost all of our licenses. So that's the issue. They will have to close their shed at 10, even though the city allows it till 12, simply because of the SLA stipulation.
Even if they don't have liquor.
We don't have any sheds that don't have liquor. The only sidewalk cafe I know of that doesn't have liquor is the enclosed sidewalk cafe for McDonald's. But that's enclosed, so that was the door.
The glass thing.
I don't know, I don't think we have any other, well, you can't get a shed without, it has to be eating, drinking. And I don't think we have, other than that one McDonald's, any. But you're right, if they didn't have an SLA.
They wouldn't have to come to us then.
Well, they would have to come.
They would have to come, but it wouldn't have.
Committee, it was
Yeah.
administrative.
Yeah, but it's never occurred. If it occurs, we'll.
I'm just trying to remember, because I don't remember like explicitly a sidewalk cafe, but I guess it's been part of, obviously it's on the resolution.
Yeah. So it's something that we've been already putting in, so this isn't a drastic change from anything we've already been doing. So it would just be, I will close all outdoor dining by 10 p.m. I will not have live music, amplified sound, TVs outdoors as per the open dining guidelines, and I will remove all outdoor speakers. For sidewalk seating, I will comply with the DOT guidelines. I will have blank tables and blank chairs. For roadbed seating, I will comply with the DOT guidelines. I will have blank tables and blank chairs. I will have a staff person responsible for ensuring no loitering, crowds, or noise. I will conspicuously post a stipulation, and then residents may contact the owner at the number below. So, and again, they'll still have to apply, they'll still have to comply with all of the city guidelines as well. So this is just our little point that we're going to handle it administratively.
So you want to talk about the categories that would come?
So I think we have 3 categories essentially. There will be, and this is the same with the city open dining program, they have 2. They're doing sidewalk cafes and roadbed dining. We would have 1, the sidewalk cafes have to come to us by city charter. So again, if they have an existing sidewalk cafe license, if they have an existing sidewalk cafe and they've had no problems.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, yes, that it is a sidewalk cafe license pre-COVID, then we would just put them through the administrative approval process if everything is staying the same and there've been no problems. The second category would be the roadbed dining, which again goes through the city. It'll go through the portal that the city is setting up. If it's an existing, which most of them are going to be existing anyways, if it's an existing roadbed dining that has had no problems and they're meeting all the requirements, again, it would be a minute, and we don't see any kind of significant concerns that would have any kind of major impact on the surrounding neighborhood, then it would again be administrative approved. If it's something that we have had problems with the business, as in that they haven't been complying with the open dining guidelines previously, if it's a problem bar or restaurant that we've had other problems with, then we would then have them come to the committee for further discussion just about how they've been operating and how they plan to operate in the future. So that would be the 3 different types. We would see 2 of them would be administratively approved. 1 of them would come to us as a committee.
And then if they were a new setup, you would have, but didn't seem to have low impact, you would have the discretion.
Yes.
To just have the office.
Yes, even if it's a new sidewalk cafe. For example, I said earlier that the sidewalk cafe would be administratively approved if it was an existing. If it's a new sidewalk cafe and, you know, they're having
3 tables.
3 tables and 6
6
chairs, or 4 tables and 8 chairs, something, and it's meeting the requirements, it's along the building, it's not, you know, it's not gonna have any impact, then again, I think we would handle that even as administrative approval as well. There's no sense having us take up committee time with something that we would almost consider expedited anyway. Does that sound okay to everyone? Is that any questions or comments on that?
Fine.
And we'll see once we actually get this up and running, how we'll.
See if anyone online has any questions.
Sure. Let me see. Does anyone, any members of the public or guests that are here, if you have any questions about that or just a comment briefly about the administrative approval process for sidewalk cafes and outdoor dining, just raise your Zoom hand. Okay,
I think you can get rid of this.
yeah, I can stop sharing. And I am not, don't see anyone in the attendees here, so I don't think anyone has any comments. Okay, so we're gonna move on from that. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and go into our meeting, which should have taken this before our discussion, but I would take the roll call vote now for the beginning of our meeting. It will be Sarah Batchu, John Fab,
Yes.
Amanda Liu is absent, Michael Lavario is absent. Okay. So tonight, there are a couple items that I think I'm going to go ahead and take as expedited, like we've been doing the past couple months. And I just want to. Okay, so we're going to do a couple expedited items. We are going to do number 6 and 7 because they are the same applicant, essentially. They're 2 neighboring businesses, but they're the same applicant with the exact same proposals. We're going to take them as expedited. And I think we're going to take number 10, 199 Second Avenue, also as an expedited item. So if the applicants are here for items number 6, La Contenta LES, 102 Norfolk Street, and Vallarta Tropical, 106 Norfolk Street, please raise your Zoom hands. I'm going to promote you to panelists. Okay, I'm gonna give a very brief description of this application. It is, and I'm gonna use the same description for both items because they're both basically identical. Less contentious 1, and for the second item, less contentious 2, are seeking to take over the existing full on-premises licenses as the premises is located at 102 Norfolk Street and 106 Norfolk Street. And it's an establishment for now, and I can ask the applicant this in a second. You had 241 people listed on your application for 102 Norfolk, and I'm sure that is a mistake. I know the space, I think it's much, much smaller than that. So if you have the actual correct number of people for 102, if you could give me that at the end, that has 7 indoor tables and 23 seats with a stand-up bar, serving Mexican food with a full kitchen, food prep area, serving food up until an hour before closing, no televisions, playing background music. There are 15 full on-premises licenses within 500 feet per the SLA land map. The restaurant has been at this location for nearly 10 years, during which time it's had a full on-premises license the entire time. The applicant has never held a liquor license, however, has been the manager of the location since it opened. 40 residents who live within 2 blocks of the location signed a petition in favor of the application. And that is essentially the same description, maybe with the exception of the people in the tables for the second space. If I guess Rigo or Maria, do you have anything you would like to add or change, correct, or anything that I just said in the description?
No, everything seems correct.
And just to, as again, in addition to the committee, these are the 2 applicants that are here tonight have been the managers at this location since it opened. They are taking over from the existing owners. They're keeping everything the same, the hours, the menu, everything is staying exactly the same. So it's longtime managers taking over for the owners. I think it's a pretty simple application. Maria, do you happen to know what the occupancy for 102 is?
Is 23 people the capacity for the customers of the restaurant?
I mean, I know you have 20, it was 7 indoor tables with 23 seats and a stand-up bar. So I think your occupancy would have to be a little bit more than that. Do you know, is it a letter of no objection with, is it 75? I'm not sure you know that.
Let me check with my team.
Okay. It's something minor that doesn't have really any, for me, it has no weight on the discussion or decision. It's just something we usually put in the description of our resolution. And I do see, I'm gonna
What's the zoning here? Okay.
It is, hold on one second, I'll tell you what the zoning is.
Or something, it's probably 75.
I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 75. The zoning is, I have this here. R7A.
Yeah, so it's probably.
So, yeah. Okay, and Maria, if you don't have that, that's fine. It's not, we can move on from that. I do see someone has their hand raised. See, Alex. If anyone else from the public is here to speak to this item, please raise your hand. I thought I promoted Alex Valencia. Alex, I tried to promote you to speak, but if you are not interested, then just keep your hand down. If it was for something else. Okay, I don't see anyone else here for this item. Sounds like the applicant doesn't have anything to add. Sarah, John, any questions or any comments on this one? Okay. That being said, Maria, I'm going to go ahead and put the application, or I'm sorry, the stipulation form up on the screen, and we'll just go through that so you see. And I'm going to put one stipulation form up, but it will be identical for the second item, just with the address being changed, but we'll just do one for simplicity this evening.
Okay.
So I'm going to put the stipulation form up for 102. I'm going to share my screen momentarily. Oops, that is your questionnaire application. So this- which item? So Maria, I'm just going to go through this quickly, and if there's anything on here that needs to be corrected, because this will be sent out to you to be signed and notarized and returned to the community board office. I'm Maria Cervantes, as a qualified representative of La Contenta LES, located at 102 Norfolk Street. My license will be liquor, wine, and beer. I will operate a full-service restaurant, specifically a Mexican restaurant with kitchen open and serving food during the hours of operation. My hours of operation will be, and so one thing you had on your application was food until 1 hour before closing. We stipulate that food is to be served during all the hours. Now, that does not mean you have to have someone, if they come in at 5 minutes before closing, you don't have to serve them, but you have to be serving food during the hours of operation. Is that?
We usually do last call like a half hour before we closing.
Well, and that's fine, but you're still serving food up until, you're not changing over to just a bar for the last half hour.
No.
So that's why we're just going to say, kitchen open serving food during all hours of operation. Again, it does not have to mean you have to take someone when they come in 5 minutes before. It's just the language that we use. My hours of operation will be Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12 a.m., Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m., and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. I will close all outdoor space, all outdoor dining allowed under the open restaurants program and any other outdoor uses by 10 p.m. You will close any front or rear facade doors and windows every night by 10 p.m. You will not have DJs, live music, third-party promoted events, any event in which a cover fee is charged or scheduled performances. We'll play ambient background recorded music only. I will not apply for an alteration to the method of operation without coming before CB3. I will not participate in pub crawls. I don't think you would check off. You had unlimited drink specials, including busy brunches with food. But I don't think you do currently, do you?
We don't have them.
You will have a happy hour and it will end by 7 p.m. You will not have wait lines, and you will have a staff person responsible for ensuring no crowds or noise on the street. You will post a stipulation by your liquor license, and then residents may contact the manager at the number below with any complaints. Does everything look okay with that?
Yes, it does. Looks good.
Okay. So that being said, this will be and again, this is going to be for 102 Norfolk Street and 106 Norfolk Street. We'll go ahead and just move to a committee vote on this item. Sarah Batchu?
Yes.
John Fout?
Yes.
Clint Smeltzer, yes. Okay, so Maria, you are all set with this. The community board office will be sending out these stipulation forms to you to get signed and notarized and returned to the office, but they will have instructions with the email. Okay, everything set?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item that we are going to take as an expedited item, because again, it's very similar to what we did see, is item number 10, Audrey, 199 2nd Avenue. If you're the applicant or the representative for number 10, which is 199 2nd Avenue, please raise your Zoom hand and I will promote you.
All right.
Okay, so again, just like the last time, I'm going to give a brief summary of the application. I'll give you a second to respond. We'll see if anyone hears from the public, and then we will move to a vote. Cafe 199 LLC, doing business as Audrey, is seeking a full on-premises license in the premises located at 199 2nd Avenue between 12th and 13th Street. It's an application for an establishment with a maximum of 74 people, 18 tables, 36 seats with 7 bar seats, operating as a full-service Korean restaurant with full kitchen serving food during all hours of operation with ambient recorded background music. There are 13 full on-premises licenses within 500 feet. The applicant has operated 119 First Avenue with a full on-premises license since, how long, I think that was a little clear, how long have you had that license at 119 First Avenue?
Ari?
Yes.
I'd have to take a look, but over a year now.
So since 2023, is it just or 2020?
Keisuke, do you remember exactly when you opened?
About 1.5 years ago. So
Okay, that's fine, that's sufficient. And then, 13 other residents in Manhattan. 27 residents who live within 2 blocks of location have signed a petition in favor of the application. And they're proposing hours of 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tuesdays through Thursdays, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Fridays, 11:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturdays, 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Sundays. They're, again, pretty much keeping, I think, the same, if not less hours than the previous applicant at the location. They're not planning on any outdoor space. It's just ambient music only. There's no DJs or any other kind of events. So again, this is a pretty simple, basic application. We haven't heard of anything from any residents at the moment. There may be someone here yet, but we received no emails or anything before the meeting in support or objection to this application. Is there anything you would like to add to my brief summary or description of this item?
No, nothing to add about the application. I did just want to quickly introduce to everybody Eleanor Schotten. She's a new attorney at our firm. I think she was promoted as a panelist, but if she wasn't, she's here listening. You guys will be getting to know her well over the next several months. So just wanted to formally welcome her. Thank you for that.
I just promoted her as well. So
Good evening. Pleasure to meet you all.
hello, Eleanor. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you have nothing to add, let me just do a quick check. If anyone from the public is here, please raise your Zoom hand if you were here to speak to this item. Okay, seeing none. Anyone from the committee have any questions about this application or comments? Okay, so again, this one was really simple and basic. I'm gonna, as I have in the past, I'm gonna put the stipulations up on the screen. Bigger.
Do you mind zooming in a little bit? Is that possible?
Just a little lag there. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so I and Shanky Kang, I'm sorry if I mauled your name up. Apologies. As a qualified representative of Cafe 199 LLC, located at 199 2nd Avenue between 12th and 13th, agrees to the following stipulations. I will operate a full service restaurant, specifically a Korean restaurant, with kitchen open serving food during all hours of operation. The hours of operation are 5 to 10 p.m. on Tuesdays through Thursdays, 5 to 11 Fridays, 11:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturdays, and 11:30 to 10 on Sundays. I will not use outdoor space for commercial use. They're not having a doorman, they're not installing soundproofing, I think it's already existing. It will have a closed fixed facade with no open doors and windows, except the entrance doors will close by 10 p.m. Will not have DJs, live music, third-party promoted events, any event in which a cover fee is charged, or scheduled performances. It will play ambient background recorded music only, will not apply for an alteration without coming for a CB3. Will not participate in pub crawls or party buses, will not have unlimited drink specials, including boozy brunches, will not have a happy hour, will not have wait lines outside. I don't think you had checked off will not have will have a staff person ensuring no loitering crowds. That's fine, correct?
That's fine.
I will particularly post a stipulation behind the liquor license, and residents may contact the manager owner at the number below. And the phone number is listed as 646-983-4556.
All is great except the entity name at the top is incorrect.
Okay.
It's NYC as per your agenda. NYC Yule LLC.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
YEOUL.
Let me get that. NYC YEOUL LLC. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, if everything looks good, we're gonna go ahead and move to a vote from the committee. The vote is the motion as it stands with stipulations just as read. Sarah Batchut, John Fout,
Yes.
Clint Smeltzer, yes. Okay, Phil, this will be sent out to you from the community board office. You know the drill, get it back to us. Everything will be set.
Will do. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so those were the 3 items that were technically expedited and pretty simple. The rest of them are still also pretty easy. So we are going to move then just in order of the remaining 2 items. We're going to go to number 5, the powder room, which is 85 East 4th Street. I'm going to go ahead and read a brief description. I think the applicant is here in person, correct?
Yes.
You're the applicant?
I'd just like to say, it's actually the private curtain is the.
Yes, the corporate name is the private
And
curtain.
the DBA is not decided yet, we haven't filed.
That's fine.
Just
That's,
for record.
yeah, we see that on a regular basis, so that's not a problem at all. Okay, so this item is, I'm just gonna give a quick summary here. The private curtain incorporated is doing business as, which you said it's not then the powder room.
Well, it's the private curtain at this time. Well, we have a separate little bar plan that may be referred to as the powder room. It's, I've owned the building for 25 years. I opened KGB Bar 30 years ago. I opened Cape Crane Theater 40 years ago. I have the same bouncers working for me. My new bouncer is 25 years. So I have a very stable operation and we know how to do this. Eric, who I love to pieces, ran the theater for 27 years. And he got a wine and beer, but the theater's changed.
Mhm.
People don't want to pay $20 to see someone they never heard of. And he couldn't fill the room. He's got another little place, 30 people fill the room. 30 people in a 99-seater, it embarrasses the players. So it's hard. We want to do more interactive theater. We want to change the layout so it's more accessible. And we want to, what we're doing in the red.
How about, can I just let me do a summary quick, and then, sorry, but I do have a question though, so doing the DBA though, should we take out, you're not necessarily, it's gonna be the powder room, so for now, we can just use your corporate name.
Yeah, for now, let's do that.
That's fine. I just so that it's clear, so that we're not saying it's a powder room if you're not gonna use that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'll just take that out. So you're seeking a full on-premises license for the premises located at 85 East 4th Street. It's between 2nd Avenue and Bowery. It's an application for an establishment with an occupancy of 111 people, 10 tables and 75 seats, with 65 theater seats, and 2 bars with no seats. Food prepared in a food prep area, serving food during the office operation, live and recorded music at background and entertainment levels. There are 22 full on-premises licenses within 500 feet. This previously was licensed for beer and wine as the Eastville Comedy Club, and it was later full on-premises licensed as the New York Comedy Club.
Correct.
It's a different place.
The New York Comedy Club took over the space for Eastville Comedy Club, and they have full liquor license there in the ground floor. We used to refer to it as the basement.
So this is not that.
First floor, this is the Crane Theater that everyone
Okay, so
says
it's.
ran.
It was kind of confused.
It was confused, it was
by all the
definitely a little confusing
addresses.
between.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
Oh, no, that's not your fault. It's just-
No,
There's a lot,
I wrote it, it's my mistake.
there's a lot in that one building, so,
I
know.
I was looking at it as I was walking by, trying to understand.
yeah. So it's actually, so this location was previously licensed for beer and wine
yeah,
as the Crane Theater though,
right.
as it's not the Eastville space, it's so it's changed.
And I didn't want him to leave. He's a great guy. But
Okay, so that's right. And then the applicant has operated 2 other businesses, KGB Bar and the Red Room, the same address since 1993 and 2014 respectively. There have been 0 commercial growing complaints. I looked as well, Sarah, and I couldn't find them, so I
Okay,
don't think there's been.
it was weird because the history, when I looked at the old residents, it looked like there
There's others, but
complaints.
I couldn't find you for this either, so I think you were correct.
I always am confused when I'm going to go.
22 residents who live within 2 blocks of the location signed a petition in favor of the application. They're proposing hours of opening no later than 5 p.m., closing by 2 a.m. Sunday through Wednesday, and 4 a.m. Thursday through Saturday. So maybe if you just want to take a minute and explain to us exactly what you are doing within the theater and.
All right. Because I opened the Red Room 10 years ago, I know how to do this. We have lots of events. We have opera singers. We have belly dancers. We have book interviews, author interviews. We have an incredible array. We have Dead Women's Society. They pick a dead woman from history and they talk about it. It's almost like a university, but it has booths. So kids come and they feel like they're not at the university, but we have a tremendous crowd. We have open mic nights. In fact, tonight's open mic night. They get 5 minutes on the stage. They love it. But we have only 7 days, and we're oversubscribed for the Red Room, which is a space that's less than half the size, and it's now vacant. And I can't leave it vacant. I can't make it go. Eric's tried the beer and wine thing. It didn't work. Back when I started the theater, it was a different world. There was no such thing as interactive theater. There was no Sleep No More. But now you've got to do something else. And we've been doing this successfully for 10 years in the Red Room. And mind you, I don't know that there's another bar on the 3rd floor that's a walk-up in New York City, but people are willing to do it. My plan, however, is if possible, I want to see if I can make this accessible. I'm changing the interior so it's flat for entry. And I'm looking into the whole chairlift thing, but I know that we're in preservation district, and I don't know that we're going to be able to get through that or not. But this is how we begin. My head's not doing so well, so maybe I'll use a chair myself.
So essentially, what you're doing, just as a summary, you're adding full liquor from the Crane Theater that had beer and wine. You're adding full liquor to the Crane Theater to continue the same type of operations out of the theater, just adding beer and wine.
I wouldn't say it's the same operation as the Crane, which basically was like string theater, rentals, independent producers. I think it's going to be more like the Red Room, where we have monthly events. We work with a lot of different people and a lot of repeat business, but it's more interactive. It's more, it's not like auditorium seating, where you just sit there for an hour and a half. It's going to be a little bit more fluid, so we have some flexibility on the interior.
I'm not understanding what's there now in this space.
Right now is a theater with auditorium seating and rockets like this all the way across. So we have to come in, then walk up, and then walk down. And I've already spoken to an architect about making it so they don't have to walk up and then walk down. I want to make it easier.
So it's staying in the theater, but it's having some reconstruction.
Yeah. And, I've been watching theater change my whole life. I've been hanging in this building. I used to go there as a baby.
But so you're changing, I understand you're changing some of the performances and the theater, but it's staying a theater. This is essentially going to be a bar it's going to be to support the uses of the theater in whatever shape that may take in your.
Yes, I'm excited.
So I guess the only thing I have as a question with that, I know you were requesting hours till 2 a.m. Sunday through Wednesday and 4 a.m. Thursday through Saturday. I mean, your performances aren't.
Well, what I find is, if I may just jump in, if you stop the performance and everybody has to leave, what you do is you get a crowd on the street. And if you allow, I've experimented with this, if you allow them time, they drift out, even doubles or singles or triples, but it doesn't become like a mob scene, which you want to avoid, because sometimes there's a problem with that. I know that we've had that problem Comedy Club, where they all get out at the same time, and it looks like something.
There's been no complaints since they closed.
Well, the New York Comedy Club.
I'm saying there's been no complaints since they closed quite a long time ago.
Oh.
So none of the theaters have any, it's not an issue. I mean, we have
Yeah,
other
okay.
theaters on the street, it's not an issue.
So are you but on nights that you don't have it, you're not using the theater, would this be open as a standard bar until 4 a.m. or
I
what?
don't see that.
Okay, so it's really just used essentially in conjunction with the theater and the performances. And I understand you make a very good point about if, if you have the bar open, that then they can have a drink afterwards and not everyone is leaving all at once from the theater end. So that does help prevent some crowds on the street.
JTB is famous. We
So we
literally
don't have that
famous.
problem on the street.
Joyce Carol's show for us during COVID. I mean, we have famous authors, Jonathan Frantic, Jonathan Beth, Jonathan Ames, and that's just 3 Jonathans, there's more. Because we have a lot of the creative community.
And KGP has 4 a.m., don't they?
I
Yes,
don't know, but how late does the theater, how late do your performances?
well, the performances will probably end by 1 or 2.
You got performances till 2 AM?
We usually stop the regiment at 1, but I can envision having something.
And I'm not asking you to do anything, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a new baby, and the baby is gonna tell us what it wants.
So, let me say, we've had issues, and you'll remember this, on Avenue A with the
Upright Citizen.
Upright Theater. And, having a bar for a theater is one thing. Having a bar that's totally separate, which is what they did,
Yes.
and that was only beer wine, it was a
Yeah.
huge problem. So if you're only having the bar to support the
The theater,
theater, that would be part of, the bar will be open when the theater is open, and would be part of the stipulations.
We'll have events.
Yeah. It wouldn't be open at other times, it's just a standalone bar.
Is that, that's your intent and
Yes.
you're willing to agree to that?
So it's an event space.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that answers everything else I had here.
So you'll put that in.
I'm gonna put that in the stipulations, yeah. And the one thing you didn't check off on the application, you didn't check off that there would be no wait lines.
No, wait.
No wait lines. Like on the application, there was a section there's a question about wait lines, and you didn't check that item off. You're not intending to have wait lines outside on the street, are you?
No.
Okay,
I don't know, it gets crowded sometimes because we've had the theater there 40 years but we do have a lot.
yeah, so but that your line generally will be contained within your lobby, if you're not spilling out down the street.
That's the intention.
Okay. So I'm gonna so first I'll move to the public to see if anyone from here is here from the public to speak to this item. If you are here from the public to speak on item number 5, which was the powder room, 85 East 4th Street, please raise your Zoom hand. I do not see anyone, so that's fine. Committee members, any questions or comments about this item? Is everyone okay with everything that's been
Now
presented?
that it's been clarified, that's all I have.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'll put the stipulations up on the screen and we'll go through them with you, just so you see that this will then be sent out to you after we vote on this. So you should be seeing the stipulations. Make those a little bigger, it's easier to read. Okay. So I, Dennis Wojcik,
Yes.
as a qualified representative of the Private Curtain Incorporated, located at 85 East 4th Street, agrees to the following stipulations. The license type is a full liquor license, will operate a community theater / cultural event space with less than a full service kitchen serving food during lost operation. The hours of operation will be opening 5 p.m. all days, closing at 2 a.m. Sunday through Wednesday, 4 a.m. Thursday through Saturday. I will not use outdoor space for commercial use. I will employ a doorman or security personnel. Now you have 2 security for all scheduled events. When you say, for the theater type, when you say 2 security for all events, do you mean like security guards, or is this more like a doorman checking tickets? And what is?
These guys are built. They're all, I have 3 security guards, they're all cousins. They're all like big, wonderful guys. You probably see Glenn here all the time because he's always cleaning up and out. He's been with me 30 years, maybe more, 30,
Are
whatever.
they certified?
I don't think so.
So they're not real security guards, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's fine.
I'm familiar with that.
So should we, I'm still fine if we put this, I just think I just want to be clear when we put this in your stipulation, so should this be,
They're not security.
so they're not security, so should we? Because it says I will employ a doorman / security personnel.
You should see them though, when there's a bit of trouble.
But I don't want you to get in trouble.
No, I
That's where
appreciate
I'm
that.
coming from.
Yeah,
If
Okay.
you say security, then they should be certified.
so should we say
You're a theater, you don't need certified.
two doormen / personnel? Is that,
Does, you know,
I'm assuming there's already sound, it's a theater, there's soundproofing there.
so when you're giving the days, it's dependent on events.
Well, I was gonna put that in the stipulation at the bottom, that it would be
You might want to put it and the top also,
with the hours
but with the hours, on days, you know, for events. or
on,
something.
so I'm gonna put this up with the hours where the hours are listed, and it'll say on days that there are events or performances, is that
Yeah,
events / performances in the space? Or actually, I'm just gonna leave it as on days that there are events / performances.
Yeah, that should-
Then you'll have a closed fixed facade.
yeah.
You will not have DJs, but you will have live music. You weren't having third-party promoted events, were you?
Well, we sometimes have independent producers. They're friends, you know, they come in, Tony Peritet does something once a month where he has an author and he has opera singers and he has, you know, it's like a variety show. But they're
It's a
not,
third-party promoted event, though.
No, it's not what we're concerned
It's
about.
not, yeah.
Um,
I mean, I guess we'll leave it unchecked just so that there's not an initial problem if someone's having, if they're promoting their event that they're having there, I guess I don't want them to be penalized for that, so.
I don't mean.
What they're concerned about is 500 people coming because there's a celebrity.
Oh,
Where there's an outside promotions and media team that's promoting events, so they're putting it all over their channels and their websites and their Facebook pages, promoting things at your space to have a large influx of people coming to events.
sounds scary.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's fine. We're not gonna check off, I will play on your background record music, because you will have music at entertainment level.
Is it acoustic? Didn't he have on his application, it was acoustic?
No,
No?
because we have, I have to be careful because I have a comedy club below and they are doing madly well. And I have to protect them from sound. But we do have live theater, and we've had it for the years that they've been
So
there.
it's not acoustic.
And
So it is amplified,
we have like a.
Okay, we just wanted to make sure we have the right information.
Yeah. and that's all fine, we're just making sure that it's correct on here so that we don't put something that's.
Yeah, my
contrary to-
job is to keep everybody in the building happy.
Good luck.
I will not apply for an alteration to this method of operation without coming to CD3 first. I will not participate in pub crawls or party buses. I will not have unlimited drink specials, including boozy brunches. And then you did check off that you will have a happy hour at 9 by 8 p.m.
Yeah, I never know. My Dan, who's with me, Dan Christian, has been with me since 1994. And he always said, don't do happy hour because it's the cheapest people they don't get. So I've never had a happy hour all these years, but I want the option.
Okay.
Because,
So, and we don't have a major problem with happy hours. That happy hours aren't the problems that we worry about. So I am going to check off because you said you will not have a wait line outside. You have a staff person responsible for ensuring no loads of crowds, which you already do. So that's fine. You will post a stipulation beside your liquor license, and then residents may contact the manager owner at the number below. And then it's 917-763-1612. And because I put above with the hours, I put there, I don't need to put it as a separate stipulation down below then. do
I would.
Just, okay. So I am gonna put down here, number 18, which is where we use for others. I'm gonna put, bar will operate in conjunction with performances and events at the theater.
Right. Because it gives a little bit of cover when people want to say, why does he have such late hours? And say, this is the ancillary to the theater.
Okay, does that all look good, Dennis?
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. So, any else?
That part of spelled events wrong.
Oh, well, thank you for correcting them. Let me just grab it down there. I did, thank you for that.
He's got a question.
Any committee members, any other questions, comments on this? Okay, that being said, we'll move to a vote on the stipulations just as presented. Sarah Batchu?
Yes.
John Fout?
Yes.
Clint Smeltzer, yes. Okay, so Dennis, the office will be sending this out to you, and they'll include instructions on what to do with notarizing the form and get it back to them.
Okay.
It'll actually go your order.
Oh, yeah, it'll go to your order. Okay,
Okay, you're all done.
All right, thanks.
thank you.
It was easy, that was easy, right?
But such an emotional experience. I mean, I can't believe how overwhelmed I am emotionally.
Well, I hope it's good.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving right along. We are going to move to number 9, which is Jazz Genius Corporation at 151 Essex Street.
All the chatters that they posted, but then deleted or something.
I did see that, so I will add that in. If you are the applicant or the representative here, I see Ravi, I will go ahead and promote you. Anyone else applicant here for 151 Essex Street, please raise your hand.
See, I'm here.
There we go, now for minutes.
You should be here.
Yep, I'm just getting him promoted right now. Should be joining momentarily. I did promote him. He just, Mark, you just have to click on the accept whenever you will be moving your panels. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to give a quick summary of this application, and then we'll hand it over if you have any other things to add. Jazz Genius Corporation, doing business as Jazz Genius, is seeking a full on-premises license for the premises located at 151 Essex Street between Riverton and Stanton. It's an application for an establishment of, and I don't think it was on the application, I think it was missing. Do you know how many people the occupancy was, Robbie?
Yes. It wasn't on the application, is it?
I think it was missing.
Yeah. Let me pull it up. I didn't
Okay,
notice.
I'll go on add in a second when you find it.
Yeah, I'll get you to that because I had.
Yep. With going to be 30 tables and 70 seats with 1 bar and 15 seats. American style food in a full kitchen, serving food during all its operation. With no television, there will be live jazz in the cellar level with on background recorded music on the ground floor. There are 37 full on-premises licenses within 500 feet. This location was previously licensed to South Central Restaurant, doing business as Tijuana Picnic. It closed and the license expired in October 2022. The applicants currently have a license at Karakua Sake Bar, which closed in, actually, no, so I'm sorry, I said currently. The applicants have been licensed previously at Karakura Sake Bar, which closed in 2016. There have been no commercial growing complaints at this location. It's also been closed for a while. At the moment, we had not received any emails in support or opposition. We did have one person in the chat a little bit earlier saying they were opposed to this location because of the crowds on the street and they don't want to add another bar license to this specific area, and they had to leave, so they put that in the chat. I did mention that I would add that to here. So we did hear from that. Other than that, at the moment, I have had no other support or opposition from anyone. 23 residents who live within 2 blocks of the location signed a petition in favor. And they're proposing hours of opening at 11:30 all day, closing by 12 a.m. Sundays through Wednesdays, and closing by 2 a.m. Thursday through Saturday. Okay, Robbie or Mark?
I can give you the answer to the question you had. And it's a 74 in the cellar, and it is I believe, as best as I can tell, it's either 53 or 150, I would tend to think that it's 53 upstairs. There's a number of spaces in the building. It's a large building. And I think next door is technically a nightclub, but that's listed here as 225 in the basement. That's not this. It's 74. And then I think it's probably 53 or 166 above, but probably 53.
Okay. Upstairs is fine.
And I want to just add that we did indeed email all of the community groups, and I have copies of those emails. The dwellers did get back to us, and we responded, and we asked them if they had any further questions today, and they didn't get back to us.
Okay. And I mean, usually if they have an opposition to something, we hear from them, so.
Right.
We have not. So, anything else you wanted to add or correct of anything that I said in summary?
The only thing I wanted to correct, and this is not something that you misstated, is I realized when speaking to my client as we dealt with the last item that he misspoke when he said one security night. He didn't mean licensed security. He meant that there would be someone at the door and would deal with people coming in for the shows downstairs, and that he's worked at places like the Jazz Standard before, and they don't use licensed security. They do have people that do it.
Not necessarily a security guard, it's a doorman.
Yeah, they're not guards. No,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We can correct that. We can have that. So just as another, to add to the summary. So basically, what you're proposing is it's going to be a jazz venue down in the cellar all nights, and then the upstairs is going to be just a bar waiting with ambient background music.
Actually, there's going to be a service. There's going to be a restaurant upstairs. There's going to be a service bar. The actual bar is going to be downstairs. The service bar upstairs will be for patrons that are seated at tables, and then the upstairs will also include the space for people to assemble before they go downstairs.
Okay, so in some ways, like a holding area, waiting room if they're waiting downstairs.
Exactly.
Okay. Committee, do you have any questions or concerns about this for the applicant before I open it up to the public?
No.
If you are here from the public and you would like to speak to this item or have any questions or concerns, please raise your Zoom hand. Okay, I do not see anyone. As I did mention earlier, there was someone that was on earlier that had to leave, and I did relay their concerns as well. Okay. So I see no one else from the public. The only questions I have, I think I was in Tijuana Picnic once a while ago. Did they use the basement?
Are you asking me? I don't know. You're talking about the existing location. Mark, if you know.
Mark, do you know, was this used as in the cellar level? Was it used in the past?
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. I was having some issues with my computer. I apologize for that. So what was the question?
Was the cellar level used when it was Tijuana Picnic for?
Yes, it was. They had a bar in the cellar, and people would hang out there.
Okay, that I did not. I wasn't sure. I didn't remember that, so that was my question. I'm just looking back at your questionnaire now. I forget this. Are you planning to add additional soundproofing to that space because you're using it for live jazz music?
If it becomes necessary, we will do that.
Yeah, that's right.
Since we have one whole floor which we occupy, which is between the basement and the people upstairs, I don't think it will be necessary, but if it becomes necessary, we will certainly do it. The people upstairs are all people that can be my customers. There's maybe 40 or 50 people upstairs. And I met many of them when I was collecting signatures, and they were all very enthusiastic about having a jazz club down there. None of them really brought up a question about the noise.
Well, just, just in their defense, they may not realize what noise might be coming their way, so that may not be an issue at the moment, but it's been vacant for a little while, and prior to that, it wasn't a music venue, so and I don't know how old that building is, but sound and music, especially jazz music, can travel very interestingly through certain spaces in these older buildings. So, and you did have on your questionnaire that you would soundproof as necessary. Are you okay? Our standard language that we put in as necessary to ensure that music is not audible in the neighboring apartments?
That would be fine.
Okay, yeah, as long as you're okay with that, we're fine with that too. It's because, again, they may be welcoming a jazz club, but when they can't sleep at night, that becomes a whole different story.
No, we don't want to keep anyone up at night.
Perfect. So that was one of my main concerns. One other thing. And I think your hours, did Tijuana Picnic have later hours? I meant to pull the file here before the meeting and I forgot about that. I think 2 a.m. Did Tijuana Picnic have 4 a.m. at that location?
I would always let my client know that if they could get a later hours, they would have the option to stay open later. But Mark, you can decide. I would think that would be very good for my client if it had that option, but currently their plan is to have programming until 2.
No, I mean, we're fine with 2. I mean, if that's what he's asking for, I don't remember that was actually a question. I don't think we want any more foreign licenses in that area, so I mean, I
was unsure of why you were bringing it up.
We can move on from that. I don't think
things have changed.
There's one other minor thing that just give me 1 second till I get back to the form. Soundproofing. Oh, I know you did not check off. Are you going to have a closed fixed facade, or is it going to have operable windows? You didn't have that checked off, I don't think, on the questionnaire.
There is, well, because it's checked off. It's not checked off because he doesn't have a plan for French doors or according doors or windows. So there's no checkbox.
So you can closed fixed facade with no open doors and windows. Correct.
Are you talking about the
yeah,
stipulation? Okay.
Yeah, in the stipulation form. So it's a closed facade, correct? Right, Mark? Right. It is
correct.
It is a closed fixed facade. You're not having operable windows or French doors or anything on the front or back for that matter, but
no, there's nothing like that.
okay.
Nothing that would have nothing open to the outdoors. No.
Perfect, that's fine. Okay, so I think those were my only questions. I don't think anyone from the committee had any other questions. That being said, I mean, I will acknowledge the concern of the person that spoke earlier, or left some messages in the chat earlier. This was a previously licensed location. It is on Essex Street. It's not, I don't feel it's as significant of an impact as it is on some of the side streets in that area. So for me, I understand that there's an oversaturation in that area, but on this block and in that street, I'm okay with it. It's replacing a previous licensed establishment as well. So
you say didn't hear the stipulations part yet. There's scheduled performances or no? Or
well, I think it's essentially just.
Or it's just come and go.
Yeah. So Mark, we haven't got to that part of the stipulation form yet when we get through it, but I think you are planning on scheduled performances, right? Like you're going to have scheduled.
That's correct. That's correct. Typically, to start with, we would typically have 2 performances per night, probably one at 7:30 and one at 9:30, or maybe 8 and 10. And possibly on Friday and Saturday, we might have 3 performances. And they would be scheduled and the people would, there will be a music charge for people to come in, and that will entitle them to see one performance. And they'll probably stay for 90 minutes or maybe 2 hours at the most, and then they'll leave, and then the next batch of people will come in. We're not going to have people hanging out there the whole night.
And when you're saying your downstairs space, I think you said it was roughly like about a 50-person space, correct? So when you're talking about
the 74 is a 74 occupancy downstairs.
Oh, it is 74. It is 74 downstairs as well. But
yes.
In terms of your space, I mean, are you planning on having it set up for, so it would be 75 people, 74 people? The shows would be 75 people coming and going twice.
Well, that would include staff, so obviously it's going to be a little less for patrons.
So it's more like a 60-person seating or something like that.
Yes.
So it's not going to be.
That's the way I laid it out, about 60 people, 60 listeners.
So I think an issue is how are you planning to make sure when you have scheduled performances, you have a large crowd leaving at once, how are you going to ensure that they leave quietly and don't hang out for a long time outside?
The same way they do it in every other jazz club that I've visited, and I've visited dozens, maybe close to 100 all over the world. And
Yes.
that's simply to say that let's give a round of applause to the musicians, and the next set is sold out. So we have to make room for the next people.
Outdoors.
Yes, this is not an entertainment area, so we're not talking about jazz clubs in general, like in Times Square. How are you going to ensure that the people, when they leave outside, I'm not concerned about inside. When they leave outside, we don't want them, because you have a large crowd leaving at once. How are you going to have people outside to make sure that they don't hang out for a long time and talk loudly, that kind of stuff?
That's a good point. Again, I've been to a lot of jazz clubs and I haven't seen that happening. Most people, once they leave, they have somewhere to go. They want to go home. They want to go to have something to eat, or go get their car.
I'll definitely let my client know that if there needs to be someone who at least observe the outside, and in case people are loitering for whatever reason, that they be asked to move along. There is the space upstairs for people to sit down and have some food if they don't want to leave, and they will be encouraged to go inside and do that, or to leave and move along. And I don't think that'll be a problem.
That's what we're asking. So
yes, because there are a lot of areas a lot of times where they do hang out outside. Particularly in nice weather, I can understand why, but there's also a lot of people, living above, unlike some of the other places where you have jazz clubs. So if you could just make sure that people, keep moving, that's all we're asking.
And I think you were saying you would have, a doorman, we're not saying security, but you would have a door person. You just need to make sure that that person is in charge or empowered to make sure that they're keeping the sidewalk clear and quiet, and there's not large crowds blocking the sidewalk and causing noise.
Got it. We would definitely watch out for that.
Okay.
And encourage people to move along.
Yeah, because that's the main concern. It sounds like, inside the space, you'll have that managed, and it's hopefully not going to be a problem with noise. And because it's in the basement, it's less likely that there's going to be noise spilling out onto the street from an open door. So that impact shouldn't be too much. It's just the fact that you're having scheduled performances and crowds or groups leaving all at once, that's just a concern for that area, because that area can become quite congested especially on weekend nights. Okay,
Right, well, we'll do whatever we can to minimize people hanging around or any kind of congestion or
Waiting for
anything
Ubers,
like that.
taxis, or, you know.
and the one other thing, and I think you did check off on the application stipulation form, but, you know, in conjunction with this, you can't have a line outside, especially on that section of Essex Street either. So, because you will have, if it's a show coming in and a show leaving, you know, you can't have a line outside. You need to handle that upstairs if that's going to be your waiting area.
Right, we're gonna have a waiting area or staging area on the ground floor, and people will be able to line up and wait inside.
Okay.
And then when the show ends, the people that are there will leave and the new people will go downstairs. But if someone, you know, if the inside should happen to fill up, then we would just ask people not to wait outside, ask them just to come back in 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whenever we would be able to seat them.
Yeah, we can't have lines or velvet ropes, especially in that area. It just does not work. Okay. I think you've addressed all my questions. Anyone else? Susan? Okay.
I'd be concerned about very late performance schedules.
Yeah, you said on weekends you might have 2 or 3 shows. What would be your last, what time would your last show be starting?
Or ending.
Or ending. It would start at midnight and would end, well, your hours are till 2 a.m. So it would be ending before that, obviously. And
yeah, it probably would end like 1:15, 1:30. And that would only be on, probably only be on Friday and Saturday night.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to ask you to please, we have a lot of problems in that area with outdoor noise. So just want to ask to please be very aware of, you know, not letting people congregate late at night outside afterward.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and put the stipulations up on the screen and we will go through those. Okay, just give me a second, I'll make them a little bigger. Okay, so this will be, I'm Mark Rabinowitz, as a qualified representative of Jazz Genius Corporation, located at 151 Essex Street, agrees to the following stipulations. It will be a full liquor license. It will operate a full-service restaurant, specifically an American restaurant, with the kitchen open and serving food during all hours of operation. The hours of operation will be 11:30, opening 11:30 all days, closing 12 a.m. Sunday through Wednesday, and 2 a.m. Thursday through Saturday. I will not use outdoor space for commercial use. I will employ a doorman / security, and we have 1 per evening. I will install soundproofing. We're just going to say as necessary for live music.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think 1's gonna be enough to have 60 people coming and going. I just don't see it being enough. It's a problem. As of right now, I'm actually considering voting no right now, just because of the fact that it doesn't seem like there's an actual plan to deal with the problem. So, I can't imagine 1 person trying to corral 120 people at like midnight is going to work great. I can just see it as being kind of a disaster. So I'll tell you that.
I think the door person is a door person, but there's also going to be somebody downstairs dealing with seating. Isn't that correct, Mark?
Sure, but they're not outside where there's going to be 120 people coming and going. And
well, there's no plan to have people queuing. There will be somebody outside to make sure that that doesn't happen, but the staging is upstairs. There's 1,650 square feet. It's a quite large space upstairs. It's not like it can hold more people upstairs than will be downstairs, including people to sit. So I hear what you're saying, but I know that, I mean, Mark, you can explain how you did it when you were at the Jazz Standard, for example.
Where was the
At Jazz Standard, actually, there was a The jazz was also in the basement. It was very much the same kind of setup that I have here. There was a restaurant on the ground floor and the jazz was on the basement. And it held many more people, probably that place might have held 200.
What was the location?
There was a long stairway that went from the ground floor to the basement, and the people would line up on that stairway to wait for the first show to end and the next show to begin. There was never an issue there with people crowding on the sidewalk or waiting outside. It just didn't happen, and neither has it happened at any of the other jazz clubs that I've been to. I think that, you know, honestly, the people that come to see jazz and pay money to see a jazz show, I honestly believe that they're very, very well behaved. It's not like a nightclub. These people tend to be very well behaved and obedient. And if we explain to them that we don't want people outside congregating outside or lining up outside, I'm sure they will agree to that. I don't think this is going to be an issue. And, you know, if we have 60 people in the place and they're coming out, it's not like a stampede where they all come out at once, you know. They put on their coats, maybe they finish their drink, they have to settle their bill. They come out gradually, and the 60 new people are going to be waiting inside on the ground floor. So I don't see like the kind of scenario that was mentioned where there would be a big mob of 120 people outside. I don't see that at all, really. I never saw that in any jazz club anywhere.
Sure, but it's not a very particularly wide sidewalk. If you take a look at it, it's a single lane. It's only a, one lane each way. It's not like this is like on 6th Avenue or something. It's, so you're talking in the Lower East Side, it's not, where was your other club at?
No, it wasn't my club. It was a club that I worked at. It was called the Jazz Standard. It was on 27th Street between Lexington and Park Avenue South.
Yeah, so that's a very different area than the Lower East Side. I'm just telling you that if you have a lot of people coming and going, there's gonna be a lot of traffic, a lot of cabs, a lot of Ubers there. I'm seeing a potential problem with a very late performance. That's just
because there's already a lot of traffic, both vehicle traffic and pedestrian traffic in that area. So adding,
Actually, Essex Street is a much wider street than.
I live around the corner.
Everybody knows what Essex Street is like.
You're right, it's wider than 27th Street, but 27th Street didn't have the pedestrian traffic for the other bars and restaurants that they had on the Lower Side. So that's the difference.
If I could say something, your answers really disturb me. I live there. I know what Essex Street is like at that time. It is completely backed up with horns blasting. It is a wall of noise. I don't think you understand the area at all. The reason zoning regulates scheduled performances is because exactly the kinds of things we're asking about is what occurs. And we're trying to get you to understand so that you will be prepared instead of saying it doesn't happen. What you're dealing with in this area is people that come out in this area. They're not your sedate older jazz fans. It just isn't. And like I say, we live there, we know what it's like, and we appreciate you perhaps going there on a Friday or Saturday night and just trying to understand the reason for our questions.
I understand the reason for your questions and I appreciate your concern. And if we do have issues with the flow of people in and out of the place, we
It's the
will
flow,
handle
it's
it.
the traffic, it's the traffic and the horns.
Well, and the people standing outside.
Yes, exactly, smoking outside, I mean, I'm just,
Or just hanging out.
I just, to me, it doesn't sound like you're really prepared for this and what happens on a Friday and Saturday night on the Lower East Side. I'm almost really concerned about having a performance that lets out that late, you know, because it's going to add to all the other problems that's in the area. How many liquor licenses we have in the area?
1,000.
No, within
I'm
technically.
serious. Oh, and then the immediate area?
Yeah, the immediate area.
I haven't done. That isn't very, oh, you mean, you look at the questionnaire.
Yeah. I'm personally, I don't know that I would approve like a very late performance ending after 1 AM just because it would add to the problem in the area that's already there, and it is a significant problem. I'm telling you, I'm very concerned, and it doesn't sound like you're aware of what will happen.
Well, what time would you be more comfortable with?
Be more comfortable let out maybe like 12:30 or something. I mean, after 1 AM is really bad.
I mean, look, I understand. I need my client to be able to succeed in this place, and he does want to do what the community needs him to do. And I agree with you all that Park Avenue South and 27th Street is not the same as Essex Street. But his experience with jazz clubs overlaps to places in the West Village in regard to crowds. And I think my clients expressed to me that he will do what it takes to make sure that there's no lines outside, because that is something that I specifically said is one of the most important, if not the most important thing to the community and this board. To limit him to 12:30 on the weekends is to probably say he's not going to survive.
I don't think he's saying.
I didn't say it 100%. I'm just saying, to me, it's a concern because I don't think you're prepared to handle the traffic problem. I mean, it's not just the people outside.
Yeah, I don't think, John wasn't saying.
I wasn't saying close, I was saying the performance ending.
He was saying performance ending no later than 12:30 on.
I wasn't saying to close the establishment, that's not what I meant.
Okay. Well, I think the answer would be that if there's going to be problems, he will have to consider that choice unless he can rectify it in another way. And definitely, we understand your point that you think he's not considering this. I believe he is, and I don't know if we have anything more to say, and we don't mean to argue with you. I can't change how I feel.
So I don't think and I think what John was proposing wasn't making the hours of operation 12:30.
No,
just that on a weekend night, the last performance would end by 12:30. Is that something that's doable?
Maybe there can be a compromise there. I mean, at the same time, the whole point was that this is a jazz place for jazz music. It's not something else. It's a restaurant and a jazz bar, not a jazz bar, a jazz bar downstairs. But I thought it was important that he have programming till the hours that he wants to have programming, because that is what the essence of the place is. It's not anything else. But again, Mark, if you want to agree to limit the show till ending at half an hour. I mean, I don't believe you have a plan to end a show at 2 AM, probably half an hour before, so people can have time to get together and they're not being forced out. It's not like shows are going to be, back to back, 10 minutes to get out, 10 minutes to get in. But go ahead, Mark.
Well, my plan was the last show would be at midnight and it would end about 1:15 or 1:30. If there is an issue because of that, I'm happy to modify my schedule. If you want me to stipulate that the last show on weekends will end by 1 o'clock, that's fine for me.
So the thing is we would just like to see how you operate there, basically, is the issue. A lot of times in situations like this, we work with people to see how you operate, and we're happy to extend hours if you show you know how to handle the situation and handle it. So I'm just concerned that if it's getting out at 1:30.
And I think one thing to add to that is if it's getting out at if the show ends at 1:30, by the time you're trickling out, it's 2. A lot of other bars and restaurants are closing at 2 a.m.
Right.
And that's all. And so I know that's not your responsibility, but it's all dumping out onto the street at about that same time. So it's just causing, and that area is.
Well, is there a thought to then give him a little extra time at the end? Maybe if he's going to have a 12 to 1:15/1:30 show, maybe his closing hours can be 2:30, so that there's not this sense that everybody's got to go. I thought half an hour was enough, but maybe people will go slower.
It's not his establishment that we're necessarily worried about. It's the totality of everyone, all of the cabs, all the Ubers. Just the number of people on the streets at that time of night is problematic.
So if I could say, I am worried about his place because it's a scheduled performance. You have bars or restaurants that close at 2 or 3. They don't have 60 people leaving. That's the whole point of the scheduled performance. So you're going to have 60 people, aside from all the others, leaving one establishment at 1:30. I don't think there is a single other establishment that I'm aware of in the area that has performances that end at that hour. Can you think of any other place that does? You're choosing to open in a residential neighborhood. It's that is not zoned, but it's a residential neighborhood that you're choosing to open in. So you can compare it to, to other jazz clubs, most of which are not in residential areas. I think it's very, very, like I say, I think it is, as far as I can tell, it's the only place that would have performances ending at that hour. I've never heard of that before.
So actually, many of the other jazz clubs are located in areas where there are both residences and businesses.
No, we're talking about this neighborhood, please.
No, we understand this neighborhood. Yeah, this is a mixed business and residential street in an otherwise residential neighborhood on the side street.
Let me just quote a fact here. For late night noise, commercial noise complaints, we're number 2 in the city. Number 1 is Williamsburg. We're number 2 in the city for the late night bar noise or, nightlife noise. That's where we're coming from. So we really don't want to hear about other neighborhoods. We have a problem here. We're trying not to make it worse. And we're saying that you're asking for something that nobody in the neighborhood has.
And if this was something I would personally feel more comfortable, again, what Susan said, it's the scheduled performances that is concerning. If this was just you were having jazz through the evening, that people are coming and going, but it's the scheduled performances with whatever the exact number is, 60 people coming in and leaving at a set time, and especially if it's over at 1:30 and they're all coming out, as I said, on the streets when other bars and restaurants are letting out at 2 o'clock. So that really is adding to the burden on the weekend nights of both, and the Ubers and the traffic, because that's also a section where a lot of the cabs and Ubers are heading down that way to loop around to go across the bridge into Brooklyn. So
if I might, the last show of the evening isn't the same as a show that's in the middle where there may be a certain amount of time to move the next people in. So the show is ending enough time before the venue is closing and the space is closing, which is the downstairs area and the upstairs area. then there's not this issue that everybody must leave. No one's being thrown out onto the street because there's a new crowd coming in or there's a new show coming in. So that's why I was mentioning that you really want just a larger buffer period of time between the end of the show and the actual time of closing of the establishment, so people aren't feeling the need to run out all at once, nor will they be asked to. So the last show's a little different, I think, than the concerns that you have, which are super valid.
Okay, so like I say, there is nobody that has performances that late in this neighborhood.
Can we say the last,
12:30,
I mean,
which is very late.
so what time, so if we were giving you a show, if you're doing 3 shows on a Saturday night, what's it gonna be? A 7, a 9, and 11, or is it? What is your shows, what's it gonna look like that they're gonna be 3 shows?
You know, my plan was for 8, 10, and 12, with the last show ending about 1:15 or so. If you all feel that's going to create a problem, I'm willing to modify the schedule. I don't want to cause a problem. I don't want to have noise complaints or crowding complaints because of my business.
Yeah, so here's the thing, can we get you to agree to maybe end the last show at like 12:30 or so, and then if, you know, things are operating well and there are no problems, you know, you can certainly come back maybe a bit later, but I just need to see you operate the business there without an issue for a period of time.
You could also just shift everything over by half an hour, 7:30, 9:30, 11:30,
Yes.
with a 1 o'clock
Yes.
file off. And if you need somebody to play longer later, then just start the show before 11:30. You know, at 1 o'clock is reasonable. He'll have a whole hour to have people stay and then leave at their leisure. And it creates yet more buffer to not have people just rushing out. And there's no show after that. 1 o'clock's not unreasonable in this location, I don't think.
60 people all at once. That is the reason zoning, for zoning scheduled performances.
Well,
We're not making that.
it is zoned for scheduled performances.
Yes, I know, but it's also a residential. That's why we're not saying don't do it. We're saying end by 12:30, which is very, very, very reasonable and later than any other shows in the neighborhood.
Okay, I don't have a problem with 12:30. You know,
Okay.
I can work with that. And
Perfect.
then, like you said, assuming everything goes well and there are no issues and no complaints, I can come back to the community board again and say, I'd like to make it till 1 o'clock or whatever the case might be. I don't have any problem with 12:30.
To come back, obviously, we want to see you be operating for a period of time that shows, you know, don't come back in 3 months. We can't tell you when to come back, but you need to be at least, you know, a year through the season so we can see that you really are, you get it and you're managing the sidewalk and it's not causing a problem. But you do have the right to come back at any point after that to ask for an extension.
Okay, so just say
So we will say on the weekends, your hours will still be till 2 a.m. so you can still be open and serving till 2 a.m. but your performance is run by 12:30 on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Fair enough.
During on Monday and Tuesday.
Well, no, Monday and Tuesday, his hours are only till 12. He's closing at 12 on Monday. On
every day?
Sunday through Wednesday, he's closing at 12. Thursday through Saturday, it's 2.
So performances end at 12:30. Friday.
Thursday through Saturday.
Thursday, 12:30 is really late for Thursday.
Well, he won't be having 3. You won't be having, you said the 3 shows are gonna be weekends. You won't have 3 shows on Thursdays, will you?
To start with, the plan is for Friday and Saturday to have 3 shows.
So what time do performances end on Thursday?
It's like 11:30 or
It should be earlier than 12:30 on Thursday.
right. Well, it closes at midnight, so.
No, not on Thursdays. He's asking for Thursday through Saturdays, 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah, so I would.
So why don't we just change the schedule to make it Sunday through Thursday will close at midnight, and that will resolve that question.
Okay, thank you for working with us on that. That shows us a lot. So I'm gonna say opening 11:30 all days, closing 12 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday. I don't need to change that. Friday and Saturday, with performances ending at 12:30 Friday and Saturday.
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
No
You will not
problem.
commercial use. We've already been through most of the other these things. We were at the section where it was, I will not have DJ third-party promoted events, but you will have live music, cover fees, and scheduled performances. So we had checked off, we will play ambient background recorded music only, but that will be ambient music upstairs, live music at entertainment level in the basement. You will not apply for an alteration to this method of operation without coming to CV3 first. You will not participate in pub crawls or party buses. You will not have unlimited drink specials, including boozy brunches. You will not have a happy hour. You will not have wait lines. You will have a staff person responsible for ensuring no loitering or noise. You will post a stipulation beside the liquor license, and residents may contact the manager or owner at the number below, 347-327-6817.
Correct.
Everything look good with that?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. We will move to a vote on this. Sarah Batchu, yes. John Fout,
Yes.
Clint Smeltzer, yes. Okay, so you know the drill. This will be sent out to you by the office. You can get it signed and notarized and returned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Good luck.
Okay, that was the last item. We will, nothing else on the agenda, so we will move to adjourn. Sarah Batchu, John Fout,
Yes.
Clint Smeltzer, yes. Okay, meeting adjourned.
Good night.
Just an hour and a half.
Oh,